And here we are, back with another episode of Gregtech New Horizons. I know what you're thinking. Gregtech New Horizons on a Thursday? What's going on? Or at least I hope this video goes up on a Thursday. If it doesn't go up on a Thursday, I'm going to look real stupid. But that's the plan. I am doing daily for at least a little while, as long as I can manage, and I'm going to try and put out Gregtech New Horizons a little bit more often, which means I have less time to record this video than usual, but hopefully with the infrastructure that we've set up recently, I'll be able to get a decent amount of progress done, and we can hopefully, maybe, potentially begin working towards the HVH, because we're comfortably in the MVH, and I want to improve our circuit production as well as begin producing some more fluids that will come in handy, like polyethylene, and perhaps even some naphtha or whatever else. Actually, I'm not going to use naphtha to make stuff, but we do want to make toluene. We want to begin making toluene because toluene will be turned into gelid toluene, which will be turned into TNT eventually because we will need a ton of TNT. We also want to make sulfuric acid today and reprocess the what is that? The hydrogen sulfide, that's what it is. This isn't going to contribute much to our sulfuric acid production, but we can go ahead and shove it in there. I see no reason not to. First things first, let's make one of these advanced mixers and begin actually producing some diesel so we can begin powering things at MV. I think I've decided I am actually going to use a little bit of diesel as a power producer. Obviously, I think we'll backlog the diesel eventually, and then we'll just have a bunch of light fuel and heavy fuel backlogged there, because I don't think diesel is going to be our main source of power. But for now, I should be able to manage that. Maybe just barely. Wait, this one. Do I have one of these? Ooh, we're going to barely pull through on this one. Alright, here's the advanced mixer, and I realized a slight issue. I'm not going to have enough aluminum to do the things that I want to do. I am actually just a couple pieces short, and I don't really have much in store. 2 pieces left over, 8 plates, and I have made the advanced mixer. I also need to make more circuits, which is gross, but hopefully we will be able to pull through without that for a little while. What I want to make is one combustion generator. The MV combustion generators, and this will require me to have more aluminum. Basically just a lot more aluminum, 1 circuit, and it's quite easy to make actually. The main issue, obviously, the aluminum. I'm gonna go gather a bunch of clay, electrolyze all the clay, and then I'm gonna do a bad thing, and I'll show you what that bad thing is. Alright, I just went and mined a ton of hardened clay and turned it into clay dust. I actually forgot, I haven't played this pack in quite, well, I guess it hasn't been that long, but I forgot that I have this steam grinder, so I was just standing here thinking, have I literally never made an LV macerator? Did I just pick up my steam macerator over there and replace it with this other stuff that I had to use? But no, we have this great steam grinder right here, and I have a ton of clay that we can begin electrolyzing into aluminum. And the bad thing that I'm going to do is, wait, that's not what I want to do, not what I want to do, not what I want to do, wrong machine. I also moved these machines slightly just because I want to be able to run all of these like processing machines. These are like little like discrete processes, so if I ever want to make rubber, I just put some resin in here, it gets extracted, shoved into here, and turns into these rubber sheets. And the blast furnace is also over here. So basically I can run any of these processes over here, or just like one of them or 2 of them at a time, and this at the same time. But if I'm running these machines, these MV machines, and then I try to run something over here, everything stops working. Anyways, electrolyzer time, and we should, slowly but surely, actually, wait, yeah, it just goes. Okay, for some reason I was thinking it needed a fluid input. It does not need a fluid input, it has a fluid output, which is once again getting shoved into the trash cans. The bad thing, like I said, is going to be, I'm going to take this aluminum, I'm going to say, oh, I have 2 aluminum dust here. I need 2 aluminium ingots back. And I'm going to cheat that way in order to save myself the 3-4 hours I would have to AFK in order to process up this aluminum. So let me wait for this stuff to electrolyze and all of that. Wait for this to get finished up. What's wrong with you? Excuse me? Probably wasn't getting enough steam and it got angry. I need to mallet it. There we go. Anyways, I'll do my cheating and I'll be back with you in just a moment. Actually, while we're waiting for that to process up, as you can see here, water did become an issue. However, I'm actually gaining water at this point in time. I believe it's just very, very slowly. Very slowly and steadily we are gaining water, and that's because in between episodes I spent the time and the iron and the wood and the resin to go ahead and, what am I doing? To go ahead all the way up here and make 9 more of these water tanks, which means since we're barely net positive on water, you know, it's not the coolest thing in the world, but eventually we'll have 1 reservoir and that will produce 100 times more water than all of these water tanks combined, and we could probably just break them down. But yeah, no, this is what I did in between episodes, basically mostly what I focused on in between episodes, and kind of fixes our last little problem that I was kind of stressing about just in the back of my mind. So now everything is passive. We are, I believe, net positive on wood. We are net positive on wood, which is amazing. Alright, here is one advanced combustion generator, all crafted up. I still haven't traded that much aluminum in, but I'm just going to let it all process, and then I'll trade it all in at once probably. Okay, so what I can do is I can run over here. We have this advanced combustion generator, and my mixer is in a chest over here. What I can do is I can place the combustion generator right over here. I think that should be good. Maybe we can move it back just 1, just so it'll give me a little bit more space to work with mixing up these, or tanking these, or selling. I don't know. We need to put them in the cells in order to make the process like this. This is the recipe I am going to use. We can use like this recipe or something. Ooh, that wouldn't actually... We're going to use this recipe. So this should actually be enough space. Mixer here, and I want to manually throw in fluid form, the... Where is it? Light fuel. And there we go. The light fuel is going in, just a little baby easy pipe just like that. And just a couple of moments later, the system is entirely set up. So what we're doing here is obviously we're filling things in this. They're going into here. The empty cans are getting pushed back into here, so they're getting recycled, and 8 is the most amount of fuel cells we'll ever have in here, because I believe it will push and pull fast enough, even though this thing is using a conveyor to push and pull, an LV conveyor at that, so it pushes kind of slow. As you can see, we're storing fuel in a 16 bucket tank because this thing produces fuel incredibly quickly, and I don't particularly think we'll need a huge backlog of diesel, because... one, it produces incredibly quickly, and 2, like, I don't think I'm going to use this too much around the base, but I am definitely going to use it around the base. This is getting self-fed. It's using its own fuel to perform this process, and fuel, as you can see, is only used up when, when a process happens, when energy or power from the store of this thing gets used. So basically, we're entirely self-sufficient as long as we produce fuel faster than that, and this is entirely passive except for the oil collection, which is still on me until we can get the oil berries. This is nice. The other thing, well, I guess there's nothing else to do here. I just need to make more combustion generators in order to produce some more MV power. Then we can set up some more MV machines, perhaps an MV line, but I'm not going to do the MV line here. We're going to do it all the way over there where our machines are. Since we're about to set up an MV line as well, we probably should get a batch of annealed copper working. I do want to find just the recipe for it. Wow, copper is used in a million things. Where's the blast furnace? I guess it uses copper in dust form in order to make annealed copper, but we're going to want to make annealed copper since it is the most lossless of the MV cables until we can get the... what's it called? Superconductor cables? Yeah, that's what they are on this pack. The lossless MV cables, which aren't too far away, but they're reasonably far away. So let me go ahead and probably just manually grind up some of these things using my hand grinder, which I have to make because I think it's over in the food production lot right now, actually. So here we go. Here is, there it is. This, and I do need to change the circuit, so I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. Circuit on 11 and copper dust, and what we should see is that this blast furnace will kick on. It only takes 25 seconds per, so I'm not going to cheat this one in. We're just going to let that happen in the background, and we will see how things go. Okay, so we're pretty much done here, which means I can cheat myself in for I'll just do 4 stacks of aluminum at the moment, and then we should be good to go for the rest of the episode until I need to make more. Well, I guess this isn't directly related, but I will need to make more circuits, and then I will hit another roadblock, which will not be very fun at all. Alright, a ton of microcrafting later, a bunch of circuit crafting later. Well, wait, I'm a little short. I am 8 pieces of copper cable short, so I have to wait just a single second more. And there we go, 8 electric pistons, and this is 4 advanced combustion generators. Okay, I also, I actually did this somewhat inefficiently because 1, I had the materials, and 2, I was way too lazy to set up the fluid extractor and fluid solidifier again. So those aluminum gears, they were pretty expensive, but whatever, that'll be quite alright. Let's figure out where we want to set up our MV line. So I want it to be pretty much the same as over here, but since we are going to have power drop in the cables, let's just set it up directly in the center, same as the other one, and we can do it just like this. And we'll have 4 generators. We'll need 4x annealed copper, and the annealed copper that we've been cooking should be done. No, it made 8 and then stalled out for some reason. Well, that's not very cool. Let me whack this guy back on. Actually, I don't have to whack it. I can just turn it on here. Shoot, I guess 8 will get me kind of far away, but I do want to do... I don't need that anymore. I do want to do 4x cables because we're going to have a 4x power source. Actually, we're going to do something somewhat different than only provide 4 amps of power, and that thing is we're going to provide 8 amps of power. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to put a battery buffer here. I'm going to make 8 MV batteries, throw them in here, and the way that Gregtech batteries work, if you don't know, or battery buffers work, if you don't know, they output amps based on the number of batteries you have inside of them. So, if I have 8 batteries inside of here, it can output a maximum of 8 amps, so we can use 8x wire. If I put 9 batteries in here, it would output a maximum of 9 amps. And if 9 amps ever had to travel through the wire here, it would just burn every single wire connected to it, which is clearly not what you want. We want to be able to run more than 4 machines at one time on occasion, but obviously on average we need to run 4 or less machines at a time in order to, you know, not run out of power. But I believe MV batteries are quite good at storing a big amount of power. So we can make sodium. I'll probably make medium lithium batteries. Large, that's HV, medium lithium batteries, just like this. And these are just, it's just more battery alloy, which is really easy. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for things to craft up, I guess I'll just use my time wisely and run this wooden fluid pipe over. I think I'm going to actually run it 1 layer lower than I've been running pipes, which is in the ground floor, just so we won't get tangled up with any other pipes that I am currently running around. So let me go ahead and find a way to get down there and do this, and hopefully have no issues with, you know, everything. Alright, here we go, and as you can see, these things are filled up with fuel. There is an entire pipe running down underneath here. It's just a wooden fluid one because, you know, cheap and all that kind of stuff, and 600 millibuckets per second is a lot of fuel to be using. By the time we're using that kind of fuel, I'm sure we'll have some sort of applied energistic system or other system up and running to transport fuel quicker, or we'll just have upgraded the pipes. One of those things will be true, probably, hopefully. Okay, so next things next, all I'm waiting for is some of these battery alloy ingots to get plated up. I need 48 of them, and they're kind of slow if I'm being honest. So yeah, I guess I can get started. I have some wires in here. I can make the first couple of batteries so we can begin charging them perhaps. Alright, here are our first 5 batteries. They're going to take a little bit longer to get canned than the LV ones. Like, reasonably so, I guess. They're a higher tier battery. But I guess I'll just wait for this stuff to finish up, and I'll be right back. And there we go. All of the batteries are in here. They're all slowly filling up, and they're filling up quite slow because obviously we're pumping 4 amps into 8 batteries. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio, it's a 1/2-to-1 ratio. So yeah, a little slow. But once these things are filled up, we should have power for days. And I made my first 8 annealed copper cables, which means we can run Do I want to run this right here? Oh, sorry, my phone alarm went off. I don't know what that was for. I don't know who said it or why I said it, because it's my phone, I probably said it. Anyways, I just decided I'm gonna bring this out one extra block so we can place machines right up here. It's gonna be a little cramped, but it should be good enough to get the job done. For now, I guess we can just move these machines over so they'll run off our MV power rather than our LV power. That'll free up some... it'll free me up to use my blast furnace more often because I won't have to use the MV bending machine or the electrolyzer utilizing the same power source. So I'm going to do this off camera. Not going to make you guys watch this one. Grab all my goodies from here and I'll clean this up. Okay, here we go. I set up a couple of machines, including the fluid solidifiers. The electrolyzer is back over here. The bending machine is right here. And the good thing about having consistent MV power is... why aren't those all... whatever. I can now use MV machines for processing, which means I can make plates much faster. I can make everything, wires much faster. Oh, that reminds me. I really want to make a wire mill at MV, as long as it's not too difficult. Looks doable to me. I'm just going to need to do a circuit run before I do any more machines. And it's the next day, but, you know. Were you really expecting a fourth video in a row? 4 videos in a row from me? That's a bit too much to ask. I was going to try and do daily, but it's just too much. And I think what I'm going to do for the next, until school starts, so about a month from now, is I'm going to actually upload, I'll announce this on a community post as well. I'm going to actually upload 3 days in a row, 1 day off, to make the Gregtech New Horizons video, which will take 2 days instead of 1 day, since my other videos take significantly less time to record. And... you know, I'll just repeat that. 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off, and everything should be good. Anyways, in between clips, I crafted up an extra stack of electronic circuits, or I guess stack and a half, and then I turned a bunch of them into the good electronic circuits using this recipe. I used up a ton of my resources for this, and we should probably start making some of these wafers, because that will be actually an easier way to make diodes. But I do need to begin producing polyethylene first. So that's what we're gonna do right now. First things first, we gotta be doing a bunch of batch crafting. Here are 40 electric motors that should hold us through for at least the rest of the episode, maybe potentially. And then I'm gonna make let's do 10. Let's try and do 10 of the pumps. And here we go, 10 electric pumps, good and good. And then the next step would be obviously to turn these casings into the actual things. I need to make some more tin wires, but that's good because I just did a resin harvest. And let me see what to do next. Okay, I need 1 distillery. That is done. I need a couple of rotors for chemical reactors. Good thing I made too many of them. I need, I think, oop, I left my things in here. I need 1 chemical reactor. There we go. Thank you. I need, I think, 2 fluid canners is what I calculated. And then I do want an arc furnace to make glass more easily. That requires a graphite cell, which I can do. And there we go. That actually wasn't that bad. I had a, oh, you get the cell back. Weird thing to do. I actually had a singular piece of crushed graphite. Don't drop the pickaxe. Oh my god. As I was attempting to say, I actually had 1 singular piece of crushed graphite, just from like mining ores. Obviously, I've mined a diamond vein at this point, so I have a bunch of ored graphite, but I would have to process it, and that sounds like something I don't want to do right now. We'll go ahead and place the arc furnace right there. I do need to connect the machine up just like that. It should get oxygen, right? Yeah, there's oxygen in there. It does use oxygen to make glass, right? I think I've just made a horrible mistake. The LV arc furnace doesn't really do anything. It's the MV one that can make glass because it has to run at MV. This thing can suck 2 amps of LV, which is cool because that means it can run slightly higher energy cost recipes, but it can't run MV. It can run like 64 EU per tick, but not 120. So I'll have to make glass the old-fashioned way for a while now. Okay, I don't remember what I was doing last. It's been a couple of minutes, and I've crafted, well, you saw me craft up these things, but I've connected them up here. This thing is getting steam, it's canning steam, and we have the other fluid canner over here canning oxygen. This will chemical react with ethylene in order to make polyethylene. That actually means I do need to make another chemical reactor. Let me do that real quick. Alright, so I've half set up the system for polyethylene. What we have here is a fluid canner, as you saw, canning steam, which is free, for us at least, and that's cracking this light fuel into severely steam-cracked light fuel. It gets sent over into this distillery. We put a circuit of 10 in here, and that should process this into not 500 millibuckets of ethylene, but 250 millibuckets of ethylene, and a tiny little baby bit of carbon, which is actually fine because I'm sure that will come in handy at some point. Okay, now we just need to, I will fluid auto output the carbon into some pipes. We'll bring that over into this chemical reactor right here, react it with some oxygen, and that will turn the ethylene that we're producing into polyethylene. So let's shove that into there. Don't allow input from any of these bad boys, just like that. And it should auto output perfectly. We got 750 millibuckets in there. I need to do the thing where I allow input from output sides, which I think is just this, and then we'll auto item output to each other. And I should put the oxygen into here, right? It did end up doing that thing. I think it only checks for updates once every like 10 seconds or so. Anyways, we need a program circuit on one, and that should begin producing us our first polyethylene. What I'll do with this is probably store it in a tank of some sort. Do I have any more of those 16 bucket tanks? I feel like I do. I don't, but I did have an excess one of these tanks. I can't fluid output, so we are going to have to use a pump. Throw it onto here, and there is a bunch of polyethylene. Alright, sweet. We can fluid solidify this stuff as needed. We can also, I believe, put it into cells just like that. The cells are ruined because these are molten polyethylene cells, but that's alright. I do believe I have to go through and manually complete some quests. I'll probably do that one. I need to do the oxygen one because I'm not getting 91 cells of oxygen. What's wrong with you? Chemical reactor I did not do. I'll look through this really quickly. Alright, I went ahead and force completed a couple of quests here. I shouldn't have done the acetic acid one, actually. I don't think it was necessary. And that's some good electronic circuits right there. That's pretty chill. But I did force complete the chemical reactor. I will eventually be making the chemical reactor because I did like a roundabout method. This is not the suggested method of making ethylene, I don't think. I think you're supposed to use like oxygen and... Wait. Maybe you are supposed to use oxygen and acetic acid, but the fuel route is just as viable. So I completed these quests just so I know where I'm going. I'm not going to claim the rewards from them until I actually do them. Like I can claim the rewards for this one if I want 64 empty cells. Hey, I'll take them. If I want 4 ethylene cells, hey, I'll take it. Sounds good. Molten plastic, I actually completed that accidentally. I'll take more ethylene cells. Why not? Next thing though, we do probably want to make some III Chloride. This is going to require us to produce chlorine, which is a water and salt mixture. Alright, this right here is the entire III Chloride production system. You input salt or rock salt into here, it'll go into the electrolyzer, the outputs will get stored in here, and this is voided just in case we actually do end up filling up 16 stacks of whatever we need. The chlorine will go through this large plastic fluid pipe. I'm just using this because I can eventually put a tank here and send chlorine out throughout the base. But we don't need more chlorine, I don't think, until we're making titanium. So I'm just going to use a fluid pipe for now instead of spending the time to make a super tank, which is what I want to do eventually. And then this chlorine goes into this chemical reactor right here to react with hydrogen. This makes hydrochloric acid. We're not going to bother to store this in a tank yet. Once we probably need that, we will be much later on in the game. This is just a basic early game system. The hydrochloric acid gets... Wait. Oh, yeah, wait. I never put away for the hydrochloric acid to go over here, did I? And this is why we check our systems before we set them up for final use. Hydrochloric acid now goes into the large plastic fluid pipe and over to here, very simply. Hydrochloric acid will react with iron dust and the empty cells that are used from creating hydrochloric acid. As you can see, there is a tin item pipe with a conveyor sending the item cells into, or the fluid cells into here. This is a closed loop hydrogen system, so I'm starting out with 16 reactant things, 16 hydrogen cells. Those will go through the entire loop over and over and over, never getting used up because you put in 3 hydrogen buckets and you get out 3 hydrogen buckets at the end. So, you know, everything works great here. Iron III Chloride is also produced with iron dust, so I'm going to need to find a way to get iron dust into there. I wonder, can I literally just pipe into this tin item pipe? Let's see if this works. I'm going to take this out, put the hopper here, and put the iron dust just like this. It shouldn't send over here, it should send to this. Okay, yeah, that looks fine. I'll put the iron dust in here then, put some of that in there. We don't want more than a stack, we want that in there. It does auto-regulate, as I've mentioned before. This gets sent, the iron III chloride that's produced in here gets sent into this tank, and then that pushes, using the Ender IO stuff, into this chemical reactor where we can create the plastic circuit boards or whatever circuit boards we actually need. So there we go, that's the whole system. I know you guys don't like it when I cut and then have a whole system in place, but this is just one of those times where it took me a little while to set this up and I just didn't really have the energy, I guess, to record, so sorry, this is up. Don't worry though, we are going to be also doing the sulfur system in this episode, and that will involve an MV mixer. How exciting. I'm also considering switching over from steam to benzene. It should provide more energy per charcoal or per log that we're creating over here. We don't have to change any of this part, and we will need to find a way to avoid excess creosote oil, which is fine. But we should be able to get rid of these, and just change these over to, what are they called? Gas burning generators, I think? Anyways, let me gather up the stuff to make the sulfuric acid system. I will get all of the machines as well as a bunch of sulfur because I have a bunch of sulfur over there. And then I'll come back and we can set it all up. I will mention the next thing we're going to do in the episode actually is make 3 more electrolyzers. I think I'm going to make an MV combustion generator and then set up 4 total electrolyzers, 4 LV electrolyzers to work off of that full time. That's twice as efficient as just using one MV one. In, I guess, output, it's twice as fast, but 4 times as efficient. Something like that. Whatever. I'm not going to stress about it. We'll do that at the end of the episode. And let me gather the stuff for the sulfuric acid production line. Alright, I wanted to keep building the system, but I stopped myself early, so let's do it together just a little bit. This is going to be our sulfur input, and I need to bring oxygen over here using some of these steel fluid pipes. Alright, I just threw a ton of sulfur in here, and I connected the oxygen pipe underneath. It's just going right there. I decided to use partially small steel fluid pipes because it would save me a little bit on the upfront cost, but now we should be, once this finishes, I guess. Ooh, this takes a little longer than I thought it would, which means this is going to be running full uptime for at least a decent while until it backstuffs. And then we get the sulfur dioxide right here. We need to mix this in a chemical reactor, 1 bucket of it, with 1 bucket of oxygen to get sulfur trioxide. We want it in this form, I think. So circuit on 1. Alright, I'm back and I'm in the middle of setting up the process. The oxygen is also coming into this fluid tank here, which will get canned. Do I even have? No, I don't even have a bucket yet. But it will get canned eventually and then shoved into here to create sulfur trioxide. We'll shove that sulfur trioxide once again into a large plastic fluid pipe, pump it over into here, and then I believe circuit 1 creates the fluid. Let's make sure of that one. Circuit 1 creates fluid sulfur trioxide in an empty cell. Empty cell will get conveyed, which I actually just made. I just need to find a way to shove it on there somehow, and that probably probably means I'm going to need to break this. We're going to conveyor up into it and push into the item pipe to shove the filled thing back into here. As I'm doing a terrible job explaining, let me cut and finish a little more of the system, and I'll be right back. And now the system is basically complete. Everything was done. Sulfur dioxide is being produced right here, shoved in this chemical reactor, mixed as I said, and then we're mixing it again with water to get a sulfur trioxide comes from here, mixed with water, becomes sulfuric acid, shoved into the large plastic fluid pipe, comes to this chemical reactor so we can react it for all of our various needs. I'm just gonna do the same automation I've been using for most things, and yeah, we can now shove sulfuric acid into things. Once again, we're still low on oxygen. That's the bottleneck in this system. It's not actually sulfur. We have millions of pieces of sulfur and about 3 or 4 more stacks of nether ore that I can just kind of crush up. Also, I might as well just mention, I'm using these large plastic fluid pipes because they make me feel rich. It's only 6 polyethylene, but polyethylene is such an expensive thing to make early on that the fact that I have this much of it makes me very happy, and using it makes me feel rich. So question is, do we set up more production for this stuff right now? And I don't know if the answer is yes. However, there is actually one other thing we could do, and considering I'm already doing it, I think that's the thing I'm gonna go with. We could make polyvinyl chloride. That is made from ethylene and chlorine and oxygen. Essentially, you react ethylene, and since we have a huge backlog of ethylene compared to our polyethylene production, because we're backlogged on oxygen, we can siphon off a little bit of ethylene right here in order to create the PVC. So as you can see, a bunch of ethylene in there. This fluid pipe, because we're disallowing input from flowing back and forth in the pipe, obviously it can't flow back here, but any new ethylene we're creating is going directly into this. Now, this chemical reactor is also going to need a fluid tank right here. I'm going to need to siphon off chlorine from this system, so I'm actually going to go ahead and change this with a smaller fluid pipe really quickly. Okay, I will not lie to you. I'm saving you a headache by not including any of the building of this system in this video. It's so unnecessarily complex, and it's kind of difficult to explain, but I will try my best. It's actually not even finished. I need a fluid solidifier here. I was too lazy to make pumps, so I didn't make it just yet. Anyways, here it is. Actually, I do need to do that on that, and we should be good. So what's happening first is we're siphoning some chlorine off of this system. I believe it splits at 50-50, so all the chlorine will try to go here first. This will actually backlog pretty quickly. We already have 10 buckets of iron chloride, and it'll backlog 16 here, another 16 here, and then it'll just be done once I throw a couple stacks of salt in here. The other 50% will come over here into this fluid tank, fill up cells, come into this basic chemical reactor. We'll react the 2 cells of chlorine with 1 bucket of ethylene in order to produce, I believe, 1 bucket of vinyl chloride. Let's go ahead and check that right here in the chemical reactor thing. Yes, 2 buckets of chlorine, 1 bucket of vinyl turns into 1 bucket of vinyl chloride and 1 hydrochloric acid cell. Now this is the complicated part. So below here, let me see if I can show you. Basically, what all of this is a logic system similar to what we have over there with our diesel production that sends all cells back to here. So it's once again a closed cell loop system. It's just very complex in the way this version of Gregtech requires you to do things before you get the large chemical reactors. I did make a super tank that required me to make 1 pulsating iron. Not that big of a deal. Kind of got it done. Anyways, what's happening is all cells go into this small tin item pipe. Anything that can't fit into this drawer gets sent to this restrictive brass item pipe and back into here. Everything else gets sent into this drawer. That is hydrochloric acid. Those then get pulled using a conveyor that's on the super tank into here. The hydrochloric acid gets thrown into this tank, emptied, the cells get extracted out, and those cells end up back in here because, once again, they can't fit into this oak drawer. The polyvinyl chloride that comes out of this chemical reactor gets sent via steel fluid pipe into this chemical reactor to react with oxygen so we can increase our output rather than using just the compressed air cells or whatever else we could use. So we get, for every 144 millibuckets, we get 216 buckets of output. That's a 1.5 times output. And then once that happens, it sends the cells with oxygen back into this tank to get filled up and shoved back into here. Once again, closed loop. Then it will export all fluids on top into a fluid solidifier, and will fluid solidify all polyvinyl chloride into sheets, I believe, because that's the most useful form for them. And as we need polyvinyl chloride around the base, I'll probably just throw it on a fluid extractor and extract the polyvinyl chloride into whatever machine needs it. And give me a second to suck it up. I'll go ahead and make the fluid solidifier right now. Alright, that wasn't actually as bad. I don't know why I put it off for so long, but here's the fluid solidifier. Here is the plate mold that goes in there, and I'll just tell it to export this way and auto item output. Everything should just work now if I throw a ton of salt into here. So, last thing let's do in this video, let's go mine a bunch of salt, macerate it up, and throw it into the system so we can get everything up and running. One plus side to this, actually, going mining again means I have more cobblestone. More cobblestone means that I can finally begin to finish the top of my base. I would love to finish the top part of this episode. Hopefully next time I can come back and finish up the walls, at least in some fashion, so I'm a little more safe. I do get attacked quite frequently, even though my base is lit up really, really well. And we'd like to change that, of course. Well, at least, okay, cave sound coming on as soon as I press the record button. We're much closer. We're very much so closer, but we're still not finished. I finished like a whole nother row and another half of one. I would need another full inventory of cobblestone to properly finish this thing off. Instead of doing that, why don't we not do that and get going on some rock salt? I did set up the system so we can use either salt or rock salt. I did throw a stack of salt in there already and 1 sodium just to set the filter. I'm not gonna lie, I cheated in a single potassium dust, set the filter, and then deleted it because I wanted to have the entire system done in one go and not have to think about it. But yeah, you can put rock salt or salt in here. These are the two byproducts. Chlorine is the only fluid that's produced from both of them, and let's begin. It should go in here, should begin electrolyzing, and it looks like it electrolyzes a lot faster if you use rock salt. That's pretty nice, and we also don't have access to potassium yet, so potassium ingots are going to come in handy if we ever do need anything. Sodium, potassium, ooh. I actually do need this because this is used to make the HV energy hatches. And as you can see, we're getting a tiny little bit of chlorine over here. It's filling up that first. As you can see, those machines are all running, but we got 1 cell, and soon enough, we'll get a 2nd cell. And there we go, the machine's going. We're making our first little bit of vinyl. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's another something I need to do. I need to change these redstone alloy cables out for 8x redstone alloy cables, and, you know, allow all parts of this LV setup to access all 8 amps that we're producing here. I'll do that next time when we switch over to benzene for the LV power, and yeah. Alright guys, I'm getting tired. This has taken an incredibly long time to make this video. Lots of setups in this video, but, you know, obviously not an incredible amount of changes to the base per se. We've done a lot of progression today, though. That is definitely a thing, and hopefully it shows. Hopefully the video is long enough, too. Hopefully I'm hitting at least 45 minutes. If not, this is my way of extending it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.